So I wanted to make today's video to address Americans in general, those of us who are genuinely concerned about misinformation, wanting to know what's really truth out there and wanting to bridge the gap that is really causing a lot of division. We're in the middle of a misinformation war like never before. And I think it's very critical to be very grounded in who we are, what we believe in. And then I think we need to be careful and pray for godly wisdom so that we can discern what's true and what's not, and what may need more information before we take a position. And last but not least, I think we can all use some work and help when it comes to sharing the truth in love. The Bible speaks a lot about truth in general, how knowing the truth will set us free. To know what's true is a privilege. So people who are spreading lies or false information, trying to deceive other people or trick other people, it's like an abomination to God. Rather, we are told to do something with truth. So in other words, once we find truth, we don't just look at it, we are called to speak truth in love. So there is a way to do this that will actually help bridge some gaps. I'm going to share some personal experiences and observations that I've made over the past several weeks. I want to start by saying that, I'm a conservative. You know that by now. A lot of conservatives that I know are being kind of tossed here and there because they are believing anything and everything that they see or read. So this is something I'm observing, across the board. I made a video last week about the incident that happened at the Capitol building. Here's what was really interesting. People who know me and know that I am a Trump supporter didn't necessarily ask me any questions. They didn't ask me, hey, were you at the event? Do you know anyone who was there? What really is going on? What's happening? I wasn't asked any questions. So I posted something along the lines of, hey, let's be careful. Like there's a lot of other pieces of information that are coming out. Let's just be open. It's too soon to make a position, let alone condemn one another. And yet every conservative I know, along with President Trump, condemned the violence and have been condemning violence since the very beginning. So now you have people on one end of the spectrum who are just so frustrated with the hypocrisy of what's coming from the left. And you have people on the left who are buying into the mainstream media's narrative that is ultimately causing dissension with people on the right. By the way, sometimes I'm called right-wing, but I think where the confusion comes in is that I just strongly oppose the left. I see the left's agenda as something very dangerous for every American. I call it out. And I also call out the hypocrisy, the fake promises, and how the mainstream media works in tandem to push a narrative that keeps them in office. Let's take a step back. For 4 years now, we know that the mainstream media has said nothing positive about President Trump. In my view, this should be very eye-opening and should really be reason enough to be cautious. And yet, it doesn't matter. Whatever the mainstream media puts out there, it seems like many people start speaking the same language. And by the way, just because I voted for Donald Trump and I acknowledge what he's done in office, I like what he's done for America, and I think he is the opposite of a bureaucratic politician that speaks fake promises, doesn't mean that I agree with everything he stands for. There are some things that I do not like about Donald Trump. I wasn't even going to vote for him in 2016. So that should go to show that I sometimes take a step back and reconsider things. I think we need to be having more conversations with one another and being more careful about the information that we accept. I remember a time where I could coexist with people I didn't agree with and they could coexist with me. There were never any problems. It didn't matter what you believed in. It didn't matter where you stand. It didn't matter who you voted for. And yet now tensions are so high, and I keep asking others to reflect on that. Where is that coming from? Where is that level of resentment coming from? I believe it's coming from the mainstream media, because when I hear the same narrative being repeated by other people who watch mainstream media, sure enough, I'll find the video clip of the exact same message. So again, I think it's really critical to be grounded in who you are, what do you believe in, what do you look for. We need to be critical of the information that comes in front of us. So yes, I am a registered Republican. I typically vote for Republicans because I believe in what the party stands for. Smaller government, lower taxes. If you notice, when Democrats are in office, our taxes go up. They create a lot of programs. They try to give out a lot of free stuff. So I like how the Republicans stand for lower taxes, smaller government, less programs, helping small business owners. I believe in competition. I believe in school choice. I believe in giving more power to the American people. And I think our government and politicians should be held accountable and transparent. They should be allowed to speak freely so we can determine whether or not we like what we hear. I think it's a fascist behavior when free speech is cut off or a politician oversteps their boundaries. So if you notice, Donald Trump did not overstep the state governors when it came to lockdowns, okay? That would have been a fascist move. And by the way, fascism is all the way to the right of the spectrum, and that is not me. So, but yeah, my foundation is pretty firm on being a conservative, okay? I believe in equality. I know Joe Biden made a speech the other day saying that relief was going to be given to business owners, economical relief, but Blacks, Latinos, and women business owners were going to get first priority. And that just doesn't make sense. Either all lives are treated equal or they're not. And so it's just stuff like this that I don't agree with. I want to talk for a minute about the censorship and the reason I feel every American should be concerned about the power that has been abused by Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google. First, I want to point out that coincidentally and conveniently, in the year of 2020, when we were in lockdown and many people lost their businesses, it was the tech giants and Amazon that got so much richer. So I have a little chart here. Okay, this shows where their financial net worth was before the lockdown and at the end of 2020, so at the end of December in 2020. So Jeff Bezos of Amazon went from 113 billion to 187 billion. Bill Gates went from 98 billion to 120 billion. Mark Zuckerberg went from 55 billion to 102 billion. So, you know, this is just something to keep in mind when it comes to information. How do we know that they are not manipulating our information so that they can get richer? I think it's important not to be naive. And there are people that really just want to be in power. And in order to be in power, they have to have an abundance of control. Donald Trump won my vote and he has my support because I know that he has been holding other politicians accountable. He calls them out. He stands up to them. If you look at his performance, because again, actions speak louder than words, he has done more for the country of America, for the economy, for African-American youth, African-American colleges, African-American communities. He has done more for the nation of Israel. He has done more for our military. He just has gotten a lot of great things accomplished. The fact that the mainstream media refuses to share these things should be a concern to every American. That should be your red flag, but for whatever reason, you accept that. Then when you see an article that says Donald Trump is a psychopath and that he condoned the violence that occurred on January 6th, but you're okay with them censoring his Twitter, that's kind of like saying, just tell me whatever you want me to believe and I'll believe it. I don't need to even see for myself. You see how this can be a slippery slope? I don't know for sure what tomorrow will bring, but if I were to make a prediction, if I may, I think this is going to backfire on big tech. I think it's a huge mistake. I've been the victim of being stifled just because I was sharing real videos of things happening that didn't support the narrative of the left. That's just a big old lie. So if you're conservative, I want you to be careful of the information that's circulating right now. Inviting Trump supporters to attend protests at the state capitol buildings, saying that it was going to be, people were bringing weapons. Every conservative that I know is like, that's either a trap or it's a trick or it's not coming from a true patriot. So in that respect, I think conservatives really need to be careful, because that right there is considered just something dangerous. I think people who are following mainstream media's narrative need to be careful as well, because you're burning bridges with relationships or people who are, maybe Trump supporters. And I would love to see, more conversations or ask more questions. After the incident happened on January 6th, I felt attacked. No one asked me a single question. They just slapped articles at me. And don't even get me started with the whole hypocrisy of, being up in arms about something, whereas so many people were waiting to band together and to have our Democratic leaders stand up against the violence that was occurring for several months. So my advice is, again, know who you are, know what you stand for. Be very, very careful about the information that comes your way. Don't take anything at face value. Ask more questions, try to engage in conversations, give people, regular American people that live in your neighborhood or that, work at a hospital, that were at an event that you heard about, the opportunity to share their perspective, okay? We used to talk to each other more. That's not happening anymore. Like, why? At my church service this past Sunday, my pastor talked about social media and how since 2020, people are on social media now more than ever. And I think it can be a dangerous thing, but just like anything, it's the love of it, it's the idolizing of it that is dangerous. So I think it's okay to share truth on social media, but since people are so emotional and up in arms and hot-tempered and have no patience anymore, and you have the media that's adding that extra layer of just, getting us all worked up, I think we do need to be more careful. I don't sit in front of Facebook and just do this. I don't do it actually on any social media platform. In fact, I could be off social media tomorrow and I wouldn't miss it. I'm genuinely on these platforms because I love to share things that encourage other people or that give, creative ideas or anything to help other people live a better life. That's at least my intention. Can I improve the way I word things? Absolutely. I look back at some of the posts I've written and I'm like, that could have been misconstrued or might have come off a little condescending, but sharing truth and love is part of our mission. We just need to be really, really careful. I think a lot is going on right now. A lot of stuff that we don't see, and certainly a lot on the spiritual realm. I'm telling you right now, for those of you who are believers, you'll appreciate this. There is a spiritual battle going on for the soul of America like never before. God loves this country. God helped establish this country, and he helped to bring those pilgrims here, and he helped our founding fathers in birthing the beautiful Constitution that we have today. Our country is special. Every other country on the planet recognizes that, and they are watching us. And although your mainstream media is not telling you this, there's a lot of foreign leaders that are even saying what's happening with this censorship is wrong, and it is a slippery slope. But again, I think it's only going to come back to hurt them in the end. I think it's a bad move. I think people are recognizing and taking a step back and saying, wow, if you're censoring my information, then you're basically exposing that my information is being controlled. I don't want my information from a funnel like this. I want access to all of it. You should want access to all the information out there. So in summary, let's pray that we can be grounded, that we can be confident in who we are and what we believe in, that we can be careful in discerning what information is true and what is out there that could lead us into trouble, and that we can learn how to speak truth in love, bridge gaps, ask each other questions, and learn to coexist again, even if we don't agree. Friends, if things change in the next several days and you don't understand why, ask questions. And for those of you who place your trust in God, you have nothing to fear. No matter what the circumstances look like, no matter who is in office and who is inaugurated on the 20th, there are so many people praying for God's protection and for his will that I am 100% convinced and at peace in knowing he's looking out for us. God is looking out for us. So I hope you're encouraged today. Let's just continue to pray for the country of America, this beautiful, wonderful country, that we can come together. I don't know about you, but like, I miss going on vacation. I miss going to concerts. I miss just being around people. I miss not having to worry about, oh, is my mask up all the way? Or is he going to tell on me? Or, I just want to go back to the way things were. But at least I learned a lot. So, all right. Thank you for watching this video. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and I will see you soon. God bless.